Good morning and welcome everyone. I'm Allen Woerner of Woerner Farms and this is the Cobalt Field Day Recap. Just a little bit of history about Woerner Farms. So we're conglomerate vertically integrated. We have stores in Birmingham, Brighton, Colorado, Pensacola, Gulfport, Mississippi, Fort Walton, and Panama City. Woerner is the premier choice for top quality sod, gravel, mulch, soil, and pavers, and so much more. We cater to the needs of residential customers as well as landscaping professionals and other convenient pickup or delivery options. Again, a recap on the farms. We here in the southeast, we grow a lot of our warm season grasses, and up there in the northern climates, we grow bluegrass and fescue. We have operations in Bon Secour, Alabama, Clarksville, Florida, Bronson, Florida, and Roggen, Colorado. We also have a logistics company of Gulf South Transportation that we use to move our goods and deliver them to our end users. So the Woerner Farms and Woerner family has a very long history here in America. We have been farming U.S. soils for over 100 years. Matter of fact, our family roots have been tied back to 1906. Varieties currently being grown. We've added the Cobalt St. Augustine. We've been growing Palisade Zoysia, Emerald Zoysia, Tip Tuff Bermuda, Stadium Zoysia, and our classic St. Augustine. We also have some centipede and some cool season grasses. Our mission, focusing now only on producing genetically improved natural turf grasses that are meaningfully unique to our service regions. We are, however, grateful for the good run they provided for many decades. This is in regards to our older varieties like classic St. Augustine and others that were certainly foundation builders, but now with these newer genetically improved varieties and the abilities that they have, it was only a matter of time before we were going to start to see a massive transition and shift. So just like the dinosaurs have gone extinct, you got to lead, follow, or get out of the way. Cobalt versus our family classic St. Augustine. Here is a picture of my father, George Woerner, standing over a field of cobalt comparative to a slab of classic St. Augustine. November 18th, 2022. This is a fall color comparison. That is classic St. Augustine there. That's more of the off color. And as you see, the green and incredibly beautiful Cobalt St. Augustine is what Dad's standing on. All right, so a little bit of the challenges that we face with the status quo. When a turf grass no longer becomes grower friendly due to unchangeable soil structure, it no longer becomes consumer friendly for satisfaction beyond the sale. When a grower throws the kitchen sink at a grass to try and produce an acceptable product for the marketplace, it becomes a dead-end street to our end user customer satisfaction with their lawn long term. A homeowner is not a sod producer nor a soil scientist. You can only change your soil structure so much. So in our organic soils in Alabama, or even some that you see down in South Florida, Classic has done very well. However, more of our production sites, being that they're being moved closer to the markets, are predominantly in the coastal corridor of the southeast. These are also on heavy sands. So Cobalt St. Augustine is currently the only variety that we have identified that is thriving in sandier soils related to the St. Augustine varieties. So they are really thriving in low quality sandy soils at which we produce a lot of turf on. Here's a quick recap of the Cobalt of August 29, 2024. This is a picture of Cobalt St. Augustine in a field in Clarksville, Florida. As you can see, the color of this grass is incredible. But then on the right, you'll notice some things about the soil analysis. We have low calcium levels. Matter of fact, we got low everything levels. And so here we have everything displayed but the aluminum. One of the problems we face in these sandier soils, especially in the panhandle of Florida, they have very little nutrient holding capacity. And in that regard, it's a lot more challenging to grow grass, and you have to grow it differently. A lot of spoon feeding going on and a lot of nutrient leaching. And so these battles can become very challenging. So We've had many soil consultants over the years, and one of my favorites here is Dr. Shaddix. I just wanted to input a comment from him. I am surprised to see turfgrass growing with nutrient levels this low. Both calcium and sulfur are below the current known threshold limits, and turfgrass appears to be doing well. If I were anywhere near you, I'd be out there conducting research on those fields. Man, I sure know the pain. Classic St. Augustine. This is in August 29th of 2024, Clarksville, Florida. Very sick, very chlorotic. Some of these symptoms were brought on in part by herbicide use. When we were out there spraying our fields to get rid of a lot of the common crabgrass, goosegrass, and even spurge, we've noticed that it's taking our classic St. Augustine almost to death's doorstep. Here on this slide, we have a soil pH that's up there in the 6s, so we got our calcium coming up, but yet we cannot grow an acceptable turf. After we spray the herbicides, there's a lot of funguses and things that utilize that opportunity to then come in and attack the plant when the plant is beat down. Sulfur levels here are around 10, very little boron, and lots of other nutrients are struggling too. So this is a basic recap of grass that was really gorgeous in the spring, and then when we started facing some weed pressure and started spraying for those weeds, we noticed a massive decline in the turf, which caused us to have to stop selling the grass while we were treating the weeds, which takes us off schedule and disrupts our inventory. Planting to harvest recap of Cobalt St. Augustine. February 9th, 2024. This was planted in Clarksville, Florida on some incredibly sugar sandy soils. This is right after planting. Then in March, as we see the spring green up occurring, nice density there, really good plant job. Recapping then on May 15th of 2024. All right, so now pretty much at this point, the grass is fully woken up, it's warmed up in the summer, and it is growing and is very active. And then quickly thereafter, when you get into the July 30th of 2024, we have an established field of Cobalt St. Augustine. Now this is exciting for multiple reasons. One is the acceleration and speed of growth. What we have noticed is once the Cobalt St. Augustine grows over and matures, we are able to harvest. There was some concerns in the beginning that it could act more like a floratam, where you would get a vegetative cover on top, but then below not have the roots to lift it into a slab. But to find a quality turf that grows this fast in such a short time frame really changes the game for our production, because it comes down to so many cents per square foot per month. And our historical classic St. Augustine would need the entire growing season to result in the same effect. So here we are in August 15th of 2024. We were being a little bit conservative. We started harvesting some Cobalt St. Augustine. A recap on when we planted. We planted February 9th. We harvested August 15th, and the days from planting was 189 days. Now this is impressive in our corridor of Florida. And if I was growing grass further south into Florida, I'd be paying a lot more attention to this, because they have always been able to historically produce grass faster the further south that you go. The standout on Cobalt is the herbicide safety, obviously. So we cannot stress enough how much easier it is to control stubborn weeds in Cobalt versus our classic St. Augustine. The only stubborn weeds we have faced a problem with this year happen to be more of a herbicide-resistant spurge. But the crabgrass and goosegrass control seems to not even ding the Cobalt after a herbicide application. However, I cannot say the same for our classic St. Augustine, as we'll take it close to death's doorstep to control the same weeds on our sand-producing farms that we can easily control in Cobalt St. Augustine. One of the reasons we've been looking for something new and improved on the St. Augustine varieties is that our St. Augustine market is very flat. And as a sod market here that produces St. Augustine, we appear to seem to be losing more and more market share to zoysias and other grasses that have genetic improvements for other end user sustainability. Any grower who gained St. Augustine sales likely gained it from an inventory disruption and not actually a growth in the market share where there was more demand. Cobalt appears to have the ability currently to restore and even bring back excitement in the St. Augustine market by being both grower and end user friendly. Time will tell, but we are very, very excited. This is my yard here in Orange Beach. We got a lot of shade, and if in fact we see less pressure overall long term from fungus or insects, certainly we will see this clearly, and then growing and controlling stubborn weeds. It's also an absolute blessing for sand farm growers like us on Florida sand. So the largest thing that I can stress right now about Cobalt St. Augustine is its ability to thrive in very low quality soils. There are a few growers out there that are blessed to grow on some really rich soils, but then there is a large portion, with the example being in Florida, where you face a lot of sandy soils that have very little nutrient holding capacity. And so when we try to locate a little bit closer to our markets, you're going to end up finding lower quality soils, and to find a grass that thrives in those soils incredibly important, because ultimately our customer is also located on those sandy soils. So what we found to be grower friendly, we've also found to be end user friendly. So we're really excited about the Cobalt St. Augustine. Happy to talk more about it. If you want to come by and see us on the farm, just look us up, Woerner Farms. We are growing cobalt in Alabama, down there in that Bon Secure area of Foley, and we are growing cobalt in Clarksville, Florida, which is north of Panama City, and we have a good bit going into production now in the Gainesville, Florida region of Bronson, Florida. But thank you. Glad I could do a recap. Sorry I missed you if you wasn't at the show, but happy to talk more about cobalt at any time. Thank you now, and have a good day.